Welcome back! Select Start with DJ Eric Riggsbee. Today on the show, a very special guest. I have DJ Justin Johnson from Faultline Breaks, our crew.
What up?
So, yeah, man, thank you for coming on.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's been a long break we've had. It's been the longest break since the show's actually started.
Right.
So it's been like a little over 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And I was cranking these out monthly when
Right.
it started. So, a lot of things have happened. I got married, went to Spain.
Yeah.
Justin was at the wedding. That was fun.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very fun.
everyone had a great time. We finished up the Faultline Renegade Sessions once summer ended. We had a Faultline event in September. Mm-hmm. I was not there for. It was the first one I wasn't there for. A little strange to not.
It was weird not
actually
having you there.
not be there.
Yeah.
Faultline Sessions, we're still going strong. We're about to release December's with Psychosis, and then we're starting 2018 with Justin here.
Yep.
With Mix 013. We did a Love Boat party for Halloween.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Justin and I went dressed as Drew and Gru from Despicable Me. We were quite funny. We played back-to-back. Moby was the headliner. It was a 2-day party, Hush concerts.
I rode the Ferris wheel. It was very scary. It was very
You
cold.
rode that?
It was
so
janky.
I told Kelly I'm not getting on that thing.
Amy and I went on it, and Amy's friend Christine too, and we were like, oh my god! It was really
wow.
But it was fun.
Wow. We did a Wormhole takeover.
Yep. Oh my god. Those Wormhole Wednesdays guys have been doing this party there. Well, at the new parish for a while, but it's been going on for a long time, and they just have a really great crowd.
Yeah.
Like, just everybody that's into bass music and bass music culture, and everybody was really warm and friendly,
right.
and it just was a really good vibe, and we had a really good time.
Well, they had their 5-year anniversary, I think, the next week. So it's a weekly, every Wednesdays in Oakland.
Yeah.
And so they've had 5 years ramping up, and yeah, they have a solid...
Mad respect to those guys.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Running a weekly event is difficult.
We've done a monthly for Faultline, which is now kind of even pared back to a quarterly, with some other sporadic events in between, like the Wormhole takeovers and some other types of things that we do here and there. So we even know what a monthly is like, and that's...
Yeah, monthly is even hard.
So a weekly during the middle of the week.
Right. And having them book outside of their own crew to do the side room takeover every week.
Right.
Like, that's a lot.
That was fun,
and everything ran smoothly. It was really cool.
Yeah, so we did that. And then we also did a big show at 10:15 with Charlie Tuna, Crafty Cuts, A-Skills. We did another back-to-back tag. That was fantastic.
Yep.
It was like a breakbeat, hip-hop, electronic show all mixed into one.
Really fun. Again, really good vibe. The Crafty Cuts and Charlie Tuna set was really fun.
Are you guys ready for some hip hop tonight? Yeah. One time down, we not talking, a shot talking. We take it back to the days and then show there. We holding on to what's going there. And on the stage, I'm ready to die.
We came to just do this for you. Sit back and just watch us rumble. We come with more heat than the sun do. Gorillas out of the concrete jungle. We came to just do this for you. Sit back and just watch us bubble. Gorillas out of the concrete jungle. We come with more heat.
All secrets of the best step. Thinking of my first step is my best step. Watching my best things from the best step. It takes two like the layers on the best text. Yes, on my mind.
We have a show coming up December 30th in San Francisco at Underground SF with headlining with Dot Diggler from Seattle and Agent 137 from New York City.
Yep. We've had Agent 137 play with us at Faultline before when we used to be at Lounge 3411. She is great, super cool person, really good taste in music. Definitely going to be a good party. And Dot Diggler, of course, if you don't know, runs the Slut Garden party at Burning Man.
At Burning Man, and also Fractured in Seattle.
Right, yep.
And then finally, for New Year's Eve, I'm playing in San Francisco at the Mint with Opal Productions, and then New Year's Day, you're doing
Breakfast of Champions.
Yeah, so
second time.
Let's get into the game.
Yeah.
We're gonna play this game. We're gonna play Runbow today on the Wii U, actually, and let's get into it.
This is not vodka, by the way. It's just water.
It's water. But we're open to being sponsored by a vodka company if they happen to reach out to us. Alright, so we're doing the run version. Who will reach trophy first?
I guarantee it's not going to be me, but I'm going to try.
This is a hard game. Alright, you ready?
What happened there?
That?
Dude,
Wait a second.
that was girl power right there, man. That was awesome.
That wasn't in the trailer.
See him choking. Ah.
Oh, you're out completely now. Yeah, this game is not easy, and I play a lot of platformers, and you basically just have to keep holding right, except for moments where you have to get out, but you keep holding right and just keep jumping.
Yeah, that's what I've been trying, and I don't know. I'll figure it out. Ooh, she does a little belly dance.
Oh yeah, she's a belly dancer. She whips her hair. That's her weapon. Not in this, but in her game. Oh!
Whoa! Oh, I'm upside down.
Wait, what? I think you're supposed to go this way now.
What? That was so confusing.
What happened? I've never seen that, and I've played quite a bit of this.
That was amazing. This is so much more fun with another person.
Oh, I can hit you? Oh!
Double die.
I had high hopes for you. I love how they shame you at the end. I think I'm more satisfied with losing when I get shamed at the end. You got this, Justin. Go. Maybe try jumping next time. Marathon runner. Oh. Do you even lift? All right, so Justin, you're 10 years older than me, and without dating both of us here, you were around for some video game stuff that wasn't around for me. So my first video game kind of experience was like the Nintendo Entertainment System, and my mom picked up an Atari at a garage sale, a Atari 2600 at a garage sale. When we had already had the Nintendo, so it was only a couple bucks, and she got this box. So I had an experience with that.
Right.
But being that you're 10 years older than me, you were around during the Pong consoles.
Oh yeah, I remember the first time I played Pong was at my cousin's house in Minnesota at Lake Ashwaubenon.
Oh, what? In black and white?
Whoa, what's happening?
Oh no!
I tried to take my hand off the controller, but it was too late.
Why so angry? Oh, that's great. Well, let's keep going. So tell me what that was like when you played it for the first time. Was that the first time you ever saw it?
I think I had heard of it. I mean, that was many moons ago.
Yeah, right.
But I think I had heard of it. But that was definitely the first time I played it. And I mean, it was just like,
so close.
nice. I mean, you can imagine like never seeing anything like that before and interacting with something, you know, on a TV screen.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like this whole interaction on the TV screen, like it becoming now like this kind of like live object that you can interface with. That must have been amazing.
So amazing. The arcade that me and my friends used to go to all the time in San Rafael, which is where I grew up, was called Starbase.
Okay.
And it was awesome. It was close to, it was kind of centrally located in downtown San Rafael on the east or west end. And me and my friends could get there easily all the time. And they did a cool thing where they did a cool thing, and probably a lot of arcades did this, but they did a cool thing where they encouraged you to do well in school, and if you got a certain kind of grade on your report card was worth a certain amount of like quarters or whatever.
I think our place did something like that too, like the one that I used to go to. That's cool.
Ah!
And now we're going slow. It's in slow motion.
Whoa.
What's the
Sun in your eyes.
So, was that Starbase place, was that there a long time?
It was there a long time. When I moved back to San Rafael in 2007, it was still there. Not for much longer, but...
It really was still there?
Yeah.
So it was there for like 30 years?
Yeah. Like, my dates could be wrong, but yeah. It was there for a long, long time. I mean, that was one of the first places where... what was that show? There was Gauntlet. Playing Gauntlet for the first time. But then, what was the
food?
Yeah. Your wizard needs food badly. So awesome.
Oh my god.
But there was the first 3D game, Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, where it was actually like QuickTime events.
Yeah.
Where it was like you're watching the movie and you had to go left, right?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
So cool.
I remember that one.
So cool.
Yeah.
But then they also had two of my favorite games were Discs of Tron.
Okay.
Which was, and they had the stand up like semi-enclosed version.
You're in it kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah. And then Robotron, which was the two joysticks. By the way, the music on this Runbow game is really great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I love the main theme song is like this like samba house thing, and then the rest of the background music is all really good.
It's
very up tempo, but it's not cheesy. Like it's fun.
So did you ever own any home consoles? I mean, you said you played Pong at your uncle's house?
Yeah, at my cousin's house.
But did you ever own anything?
Classic SHANTAE. Not until, let's see. I think in like the late 80s, I bought my buddy's ColecoVision.
Whoa, you had a ColecoVision.
Off of him, yeah. He got done with it, and I think I bought it off of him like for like $100. And he had like a bunch of games. Had the Smurfs game, which was so much fun.
I know. I'm gonna look that one up. What was that like?
It's just like a two-dimensional walking game. Like you jump over some stuff, whatever. But he also had I can't remember the name of the game, but it was a driving game, and he had the driving console with like the gas pedal and the steering wheel and stuff.
So you bought that from him?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's ColecoVision, Intellivision, and Atari were like the three big ones. Wow, that's cool. So what'd you end up doing with that?
I don't know what happened to it, but at some point when I was living in New York City, my buddy Owen bought me a used Atari 2600.
Okay.
This was like 15 years ago at least.
Okay, but still pretty...
And I still have it.
You still have it?
Yeah. Yeah, I still have it. I have a bunch of games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so DJ Lovely wanted to know about your satellite record days. And so you grew up in the North Bay, and then you moved to New York City.
Yeah, I moved to New York City in the mid-90s. Yeah, I met Scott Richmond and Jonathan Kadish, a.k.a. Mr. Clean, when I was working with Scotty Mars. He was running a party called Bounce. It was a weekly, I think it was Friday or Saturday, it was a weekly event. And then started hanging out. And he had a crew called King Size.
Okay.
And I started DJing with those guys. And
were they into breaks or house, or what was the sound?
Everything.
Because it was the mid-90s, so it was like, it was everything.
It was like a free-for-all.
Yeah, it was everything.
Like, if it was good, it was good. You know, you kind of... It was... In those days, things were less genre-specific.
Right.
But, was hanging out with those guys, and Mr. Clean, Jonathan Kadish, used to bring his lighting rig up to... he owned an intelligent lighting rig. So he used to set those up at 7 Willow Street for Scotty and in his bounce parties, and that's where I met Jonathan. And he and Scott asked me to. I didn't realize I was still going.
No, it's okay.
Oops. And they asked me to come and work at Satellite, and I became. What am I doing? I'm doing many things wrong here.
This one's hard. We'll go back to the running one in a minute.
So I started working at Satellite. I think it was in '96.
Okay.
And which was a really, really fun time to be living in New York City and DJing in New York City. There was a lot of really great venues like the Palladium and the Tunnel, all owned by Peter Gation. But there was a lot of really great underground spaces as well. And it was just a really, really fun time.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome. I mean, I got into the whole dance scene about 96, 97, but it was here in Oakland, and different than New York City. And obviously, if you're a little older and you're actually working in the industry. I was just kind of starting to kind of figure out what was going on with it. I can imagine like what was going on at the time. It was really exciting. Were like a lot of big name DJs coming into Satellite Records, or was it a record store or was it distribution?
It was a record store.
Record store, okay.
So,
right,
and it was actually 3 record stores, and so Scott and Jonathan first started out in the basement of Liquid Sky. They in a little tiny corner. It was like a rave culture store that sold like clothing and stuff like that. But there was a little downstairs area where you could go and buy records, and that's where they started. It was in this like little tiny, like you literally had to go down a small spiral staircase, and go downstairs into this like little hole in the wall.
And they're probably carrying those records down that little spiral staircase.
Probably,
down there, yeah.
So that's where they started, and then they started throwing big parties, and were able to eventually fund moving into their own spot. They were doing really, really well, and they said, "Let's open a store in Boston." Okay. Doing really, really well, and let's open a store in Atlanta. And a lot of really amazing talent actually came out of the Satellite Records crew. Tommy Sunshine.
I recognize Tommy Sunshine, okay.
Used to be the manager of the Atlanta store. John Selway worked at the New York store.
Okay.
Oh, damn. If you were DJing, you were buying records at Satellite amongst other places as well. Interesting thing about Satellite and one of its main philosophies was, if a record is available and someone wants it, we should be able to get it.
Okay.
Which was totally the opposite of the majority of other record shops and the way they operated. Most other record shops were like, we're going to order maybe 1 or 2 copies of something, and once it's gone, it's gone, unless somebody special orders it.
Right.
Or we're only going to order this record for this top level A DJ in our area and no one else is going to have it, he's going to be the only person playing that record in this region.
Right.
Which is, I personally don't believe in that philosophy, but whatever.
Well, it was kind of like that back in the day. As far as, you know, even the white label stuff, like, you know, getting access to a white label or a record. Basically, a white label is any record that hasn't really had a major release, might actually be, you know, might have a Prince sample in it, which is, you know, illegal, but, you know, they're just testing the waters with it, and there might only be maybe 100 copies out there, or maybe even 10 copies. And sometimes those are really hard to get. Like,
Yep.
if you were getting the white labels, it was like you had to hook up with someone that was feeding you these things, and sometimes the white labels wouldn't repress the actual tracks, so then a white label would be more rare because that's the only way to have the song. It never came out later.
Any artist who is still actively making music that had been making music back in those 90s, early 2000s will tell you that it's frustrating for them because all the platforms keep disappearing.
This is a tough one. No! Stop! This is a real tough one. Ah, got it. No, it's my platform!
They all have found it very frustrating to continue to want to make the music that they love, but not be able to live off of it
Right.
as they used to.
Where they used to.
Yeah. I mean, they absolutely used to be able to. You know, everybody and their brother is a DJ now. Everybody and their brother and their mother and their sister's cat is a producer now.
Right.
And and there's still a lot of amazing talent out there, and there's no question of that. But it's just, like I said, it's just overly saturated. It's difficult for the consumer to find content that's good because there's just so much.
I guess, like, how do the artists make money, and how does it get tracked, and how does it, like, how does the puzzle, how does it all get distributed, and who gets what, and that still hasn't been figured out, right, since things have kind of moved to digital.
Right. Well, that's the thing that Dubset is doing is, and this is why no one's done it before, is it's extremely complicated because each track, you know, in an average mix, there's, you know, anywhere from 10 to 20 tracks.
Right.
In terms of, like, in a dance music mix.
Sure.
A hip hop mix might have 30 or 40 tracks,
Right.
depending on who's mixing it. But each track is broken out into, you know, ownership of that track and who wrote that track
Mm-hmm.
and who controls the rights, who controls the publishing, all that. So there's a lot of different factors involved in terms of finding out who the royalties go to for what.
Right.
So, and that's what we do. We have audio fingerprinting technology and metadata matching technology, and try to determine, all right, can we determine all the tracks in this and who, and once it goes live, once we push it to a service, you know, who gets what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems really confusing because if you also have, like, the sounds of the track, right? So you have the part where it's like the song and the hook, right? But then, like, does it even get even more broken down where it's like the person who recorded the actual kick drum or the snare drums and all the elements that go into the song?
It depends on how.
Unless it's live, like if they're taking, like, you know, a pack, you know, Beats pack or whatever, and they're using this thing to make their song and then it becomes famous. Well, do they even own, like, the whole song? Because there's, like, the whole beat structure and all the things that are written. But
most sample packs these days are license free, meaning
Are they?
once
Okay.
you buy the sample pack, you own it. You
Okay.
can do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
In the old days, back in the day, in the days of yore, it used to be that you would buy a sample CD and you didn't own the rights
Okay.
to it. You could use it for performance purposes, but you couldn't use it as your track and say it was your track.
Right.
Now you could sample, you know, bits and pieces and stuff like that, and some loops, you know, who's to say, you know, if you actually used it or whatever. But in terms of, like, you know, they would include a lot of music loops and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you used that, it was very blatantly that you were using it.
Right.
But, you know, then you could always do the thing of, like, you could chop it up and just use a little piece of it. And then could you get caught, you know? Or is that now considered an original piece because
Right.
you've altered it and made it into something of your own?
Right.
I don't know.
So the Beastie Boys, right? They do a lot of sampling back in the day, and like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you look at some of these albums, do you think that they even could be made nowadays? Like actually sold? Like, did they get clearance on all of these samples that they used when they did Paul's Boutique? Probably not.
Probably not. Well, I
And
mean,
they
back
sold
in the
that, and they-
back in those days, it was kind of the wild, wild west.
And
It
that-
was
yeah.
ask forgiveness after the fact.
Because they would put that out, it'd be a major label, right? It would have all of these, like, all these samples on it from different albums.
Yep.
And they're selling that. So when did the end of that kind of happen? Like, what was the tipping point, would you say?
The Vanilla Ice Queen David Bowie one.
That
is,
was a big
very
one.
well known. There was also the De La Soul 3 Feet High and Rising album that, you know, sampled Hall & Oates and like a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, the Vanilla Ice one, like, he got a lot of crap for that, even though, like, he kind of had to fake that it was, like, different, even though it was basically the same. Like, he tried to say that, like, his had one less little ding in it. Like,
Right.
he was like, ding, 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 ding. Like, maybe
Yeah.
he did take one thing out, but I think, like, that was the beginning of, like, being shamed for that. Like, whereas before that, it was, like, kind of a cool thing, you know, like, oh, you're sampling stuff, it's cool. And all of a sudden, Vanilla Ice started getting, like, all this trash for it.
The lawyers got involved, and
Yeah.
music owners and publishers started to go, wait, they're doing what, and we're not getting paid from it.
Right, what is hip hop doing here? They're doing this whole thing. Like, their whole thing is based on this.
But it's really more about identifying the original song, matching the original song in a mix, or matching the original song in a remix, because dubstep processes remixes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the great thing about it is, like, you know, everyone's uploading DJ mixes to SoundCloud and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but, you know, those rights holders that own that content, the master audio and all the publishing, aren't getting paid on it.
Right.
But now there's an avenue to do that.
Right.
Well, same thing with bootleg remixes. You know, Eric Riggsbee does a Prince
Right.
remix that, you know, has 40,000 streams on it on SoundCloud.
Right.
But no one's making anything off of it.
Sure.
But now you put it through Dubset, processes it, recognizes it, and then, you know, it can be streamed on Apple and Spotify and so forth. In the summer, we signed Sony Music, so that's a big deal.
I saw the Master P thing. So, like, Master P, I guess, like, said, take my stuff.
Yeah, he has a
Well,
whole.
I'm sure there's some deal, but basically he's like...
He's got a bunch of unreleased acapellas,
Okay.
and he said, "Here you go, go to town."
So, you're saying that anything that has Master P's vocal or whatever in it is not going to get flagged anymore.
Right.
And a lot of this has to do with some of our viewers for YouTube. They get copyright claims. I get hit all the time.
Right.
You know, and I don't monetize my videos, you know, for numerous reasons. A, because I'd be hustling backwards. I mean, I'd be making, like, pennies on these things. But two, I don't really want to put a commercial in the front. I'd rather just, like, play.
Right.
But a lot of these people that, like, have been making decent money are now getting hit with either copyright claims. There's this thing called the adpocalypse right now with YouTube.
Adpocalypse.
The adpocalypse. So in the last year, now finally the avenue of, you know, we're going to have, you know, Velveeta, you know, do their ad here, but they didn't know who was going to be on. Whereas on
right.
TV, you know it's going to run on this slot, this slot, this slot.
Right.
So all these people were making all this money, but now it's like they're making less money because the ad people are saying, well, we want it in specific people
Right.
that have certain hits. So all the kind of like the middle, the low tier people that were kind of able to really start to make this a career have now had trouble in the last 6 to 8 months, maybe a year now. So there's called the adpocalypse, and there's just not enough ads to go around for all the content on there.
Right. And I remember when I was at Satellite, and we used to sell mixtapes.
Right?
And that was
Totally
it was
illegal.
Yeah, totally
illegal. By the
Totally
way.
illegal.
Yeah.
But it was a great revenue source for DJs from all over the country, but also regional DJs. I mean, I personally could make a mixtape and have it in our display rack, and sell a few to a dozen a week, and have a little extra cash.
I would buy them.
Yeah.
From our record stores around here.
Yeah, exactly. And then there were also bootleg distributors of mixtapes that would take like DJ Dan and Donald Glaude and Terry Mullen and all this, and they would sell them at the parties, or when I was at Satellite, we knew a couple of the good high quality mixtape distributors, and we would order some from them like consistently. Like we would always run out of the Scott Henry mixtapes like all the time. So but at one point, what happened was the RIAA, the Recording Industry of America, literally sent Satellite Records a letter with a cease and desist and said, "We know that you are selling bootleg copies of mixtapes.
Wow.
You have to stop."
Wow.
And we, like, all of our jaws dropped to the floor. We're like, "What?" And so, but we did it. I get it. I mean, on one hand, you want to encourage creativity and ingenuity. You want to be able. I mean, I think what a lot of producers are doing these days is amazing, given Ableton and Logic, and they're just doing like crazy things. But on the other hand, you are battling against rights holders and publishers who own content and want to be paid and demand to be paid.
Yeah.
But that kind of can stifle creativity in certain aspects. So it's tricky.
And I've made a portion of my musical career off of other people's music.
Playing other people's music. Yeah.
I mean, even when I was in a band growing up, I was also in another band, like playing our own music growing up. I was in another band where we played covers. And we played covers, and it was like three of us. We get paid about $300 for 3 hours. In the late 90s, early 2000s, go play a bar for, and we were playing other people's music. I'm sure that was illegal to do that too.
Well, that's different. When you're in a live venue, if ASCAP is aware of the venue, that venue has to pay a monthly fee or a yearly fee to cover the performance of music,
right?
Of copyrighted material.
Right.
So the covers fall under that. That doesn't mean that if you played a Led Zeppelin song, that some of the money is actually going to get assigned to whoever wrote that song.
Right.
But yeah, ASCAP covers that.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the same with nightclubs as well. They all have to pay. I think it's a monthly or yearly fee.
So where can we find your stuff?
So I have 4 labels. Barely Legal Records was the first label I started. It's a breakbeat focused label. It is on every shop everywhere, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Beatport, Juno Download. Then there's Cable Recordings, which I started with my buddy Chris, DJ 3PO. And that's kind of more of a tech house focused label, tech house and like tribal, a little bit progressive, and that again is everywhere, including TrackSource. And then I have Southern Vice Recordings, which is pretty much primarily like funky house, filtered disco house, and then I have Cylon Dub Receptor, which is all mostly deep house.
Wow. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. All right.
No doubt.
Thanks a lot, everyone.